Welcome to Daycare Podcast, the student edition with the lovely, the beautiful Amanda Dladla. Amanda, how are you?
I'm all good, and how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I just can't wait to get into the gist of things and learn from you and just exhaust, that and pick that intelligent brain of yours. So, Amanda, to get the ball rolling, who is Amanda?
Okay, before I start, thank you so much for having me here. So who is Amanda? I'm a girl from Durban, KZN, Umlazi to be specific. I'm here in Cape Town studying I was studying at UWC. I was doing medical bioscience, recently graduated this year in September. Shortly after that, I enrolled for a short course. It's a UCT online short course, Business Development Management. And now here I am. So that's just a little bit about me.
Just with a little bit about you, it already sounds like Amanda, you just love studying.
Not really, but I'm not a big fan of studying, but when I'm passionate about something, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Passion drives you to achieve your goals, as it sounds. So, Amanda, share a bit about what drew you to study medical bioscience, as you said you're studying.
Yes.
As you mentioned, you're a girl from Durban, KZN, and you're here in the Cape. What inspired you to leave Durban and come to study medical bioscience in the Western Cape?
In the Western Cape.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, I always say this, I didn't choose Cape Town. Cape Town chose me. Like, literally, believe it or not, nah, my original plan, I wanted to stay in KZN. I
Yeah.
didn't want to leave. Cape Town was my second option, but I wasn't keen on it. I just wanted to stay at home. And even when I applied at UWC, because I had applied to all universities, I didn't even know that UWC existed until I was searching online and I'm like, okay, universities in South Africa. Because I was like, I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I've applied everywhere. Right? Okay, well, except certain provinces that I knew I wouldn't be keen to go stay in. Because I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even want that door to open. Like, it's fine. So I applied, literally, even when I applied at UWC, it was the very last day. I applied, got accepted. It was the first university to accept me. All the others kept quiet. So it was like, okay, cool. I just have to go to Cape Town. Come here, register, do everything. I remember very well, school was actually, we started school on the 4th of Feb, which was my birthday. When I woke up that morning, I got an SMS from UKZN telling me that they've accepted me. I'm telling you, I went back home. I didn't even finish my first month here in Cape Town. I
Snap.
literally left. I went back home. Now UKZN, they tend to strike a lot. And
Yeah.
the day that I had gone back home, they so happened to have been starting a strike.
Right, yeah.
So that's what actually brought me back here to Cape Town because my parents are like, you're not about to leave a university where there's peace and quiet to come and be striking or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up here in Cape Town doing a medical bioscience.
That sounds more like it was sort of like a plastic elastic relationship. You go, it stretches, it pulls you back. No, come back.
And you know what the crazy part is? Because all along, like the first month, I'm
Yeah.
like, going back home, I'm going back home, either way. So I wasn't even bothering attending classes, everything. And by the time I came back, literally, I think in about 3 days, I had to write a test. So I literally got greeted by a fail. I got greeted by a fail.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, my coming to UW. I didn't choose it, it chose me.
You didn't choose UWC, UWC chose you.
Yes.
And you spoke about you were greeted by failure, right? But we're gonna get there. Kindly just share with us a bit, give us more of like a deeper understanding of what is medical bioscience for someone who wants to study the course, and what do you do in your course?
Okay. So with medical bioscience, I basically, if I had to summarize it, I'd say that it has to do with research within the medical field, right? I like to also compare it to a BCom general because it's so broad. You literally learn everything that has to do with the health industry.
Yeah.
And then once you're done with your degree, well, with us specifically at UWs, because things are a little bit different if you do a BSc in general in a technical university compared to a normal university, right? And yeah, I like to describe it as a BCom general because it's so broad. And then once you're done with your degree and you choose to go do your honors, then that's when you get to choose, okay, what do I want to focus on?
Yeah.
So others will choose to maybe become microbiologists, others virologists, others will choose to study further and go do medicine. And normally with those, if you choose to study further and go do medicine, you don't start your medical degree from scratch. You'll normally join medical students around the third or fourth year. So yeah, it's basically, I think in summary, that's the best way that I could describe it. Yes.
And during the course of you studying, how was campus atmosphere like for you? Did you like it there? Was it boring? Was it too busy? How was it?
Okay, so I basically did my degree online. I basically did my degree online.
Yeah.
I literally only had 2019 because that's when my first year was. So I had 2019, got to experience a bit of campus life, but I
Yes.
didn't get to experience it in its fullest form because I did stay off campus.
Snap.
Yeah, I stayed off campus,
Snap.
unfortunately, in my first year. And even sometimes walking to campus, I'd be like, yo, am I going to go? So sometimes I wouldn't, be too keen on coming on campus. Yeah, and then 2020 happened, lockdown, had to go back home. My degree is basically online. Came back again in 2021. Campus was literally empty in 2021. There's literally only a few of us. Like,
True.
you can literally count. I don't think that we had more than 500 people on campus during that time.
100%.
And then last year, 2022, that's when everyone came back. But everything was still pretty much online still. It was only, like, I know with me last year, it would be that thing of when I'm going to write, then I'd have to come and write or sit down for one of my modules. But other than that, we literally weren't attending. So campus life, it was literally chilled because everyone was just doing whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. We weren't controlled about, I had to go to a lecture, I had to go do this. Even activities on campus for that time being, they were kind of like seized because COVID, everything, the whole quarantine, spacing of people. So that was literally mine.
That was your field. You didn't have that many contact classes. Everything was online.
Literally. So it's like throughout my degree, whoever I made friends with in first year, those are the people that I literally carried on with because now I wasn't seeing people in class. So I wasn't getting to make new friends further as I went along. So the same friends that I still have today, still speak to today, are still the very same people that I met in my first year. Yes.
I see. Interesting. Do you know, oftentimes students who are even having contact classes, they would complain about specific subjects, like, yo, that subject was chowing me, or that was the most challenging subject, but they say, oh, this is a subject that I loved. But now, with you, obviously, it means that it required more discipline because you're not in class. Sometimes you don't have that group of friends you can study with to help you push with that subject. But through that tough period, right?
Yes.
What subject did you find to be most challenging, and what subject did you love in the course?
I'm not even gonna lie. I think anyone that does MBS, it has to be biotechnology. It has, and the worst part is that it was an elective module because when you get to your second year, you get to choose basically. It's only biotechnology modules that you can choose from, but they do allow you. And I think for me, I struggled a lot with it. I think maybe because it has to do, there's just a lot of chemistry content to it, and chemistry isn't my strongest point. So I think that's why I struggled a lot with it, even numbers, maths. We literally had to sit and do calculations. And I'd ask myself, and I'm like, what does this have to do with a human body? Like, this is not what I'm here for. That was literally me. Like, each time I had to I struggled so much with that module, even though it was online, but
Yeah.
I still failed it, and I had to repeat it
Yes.
again, you
Yeah.
know. And yeah, even when I had to repeat it again, it was still a struggle. It's like I knew what to expect. Like even with the assignments, I
Yeah.
honestly think, okay, I probably shouldn't say this, but I honestly think that one of the things that helped me was that I still had memos from the previous years. So
Yeah.
the questions were all over the place, but I'd be like, as long as I'm following the steps
Yes.
and processes of how you got to this answer. Because sometimes you'll find that the question is the same, but maybe the figures have changed.
True.
So I'd be like, okay, as long as I'm following the steps, I should come to the right answer.
Yeah.
So literally my assignments is what boosted me a lot, because our assignments, I think they counted about 30% of our
your
mark.
mark.
Yeah. So that's literally one of the things that boosted me, and it was online.
Awesome. One of the common thing I hear many students say that, oh, I myself and I've had that situation where I had to repeat a subject. I noticed that when you repeat certain subject, you get a better understanding of the subject in that during that year,
Yes.
of which sometimes if you hit yourself on the head like snap, I could have passed this immediately. But then repeating it gives you that opportunity to have a better understanding.
I think, okay, because throughout my
Yeah.
degree, I failed 2 modules. One was microbiology,
Yeah.
which I failed in my final year, which was a big bummer, but anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with BTN, because again, it had a lot to do with numbers, chemistry, everything. So
Yeah.
for me, it was basically, it's like I knew I have to work extra hard, because I already got a glimpse of what this module is like and what it requires from you and everything. But again, I also knew and understood that numbers aren't necessarily my strongest point.
Wait,
I'm not,
yes.
maths is, I just, it's just not my thing,
Yeah.
you know. So literally with that, it was like I had no choice but to study further. But at least with microbiology, when I came to repeat it again, I with that one, because it was more theory based.
Yeah.
In actual fact, it was just theory based, and I think especially with because it had a lot to do with what I thought my degree was going to be about.
Yes.
So I think bouncing back, and it was easier than compared to BTN. I still struggled with it even when I was repeating it. But with Mike, I bounced back better, because I realized that more than anything, what actually made me fail was I was doing my degree online. Now I get to my final year,
Yeah.
and I'm no longer writing my tests online. I'm now writing my tests on campus. I'm now writing them physically. So now it's like I have to make sure that I fully know my work. I fully understand my work and everything.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle, because with our online tests, especially with Mike, they were literally all of them, when we were doing them online, they were MCQs.
Yeah.
So with MCQ, it's like the answer somewhere, somehow will always pop to you that it has to be this one. This one looks the most correct. And now having to come, and you're expected to write paragraphs, you're expected to processes, you know, it's like you have to understand all of that. And even with the way that they structure the questions, it's like you even have to remember work from your previous years, because now it's a build-up, you know. So I think how I used to study when everything was still online, I had to realize that it's not, I can't use the same study methods. I have to study differently. I have to study more in depth with my academics, because we're no longer just doing MCQ questions. So you just get a question, and it's either you know the answer or you don't know the answer. There isn't something like, okay, maybe I can take a guess. Maybe I can take my chances with this one. You don't have that anymore. It's no longer just true and false. Yes, there is a section where it's MCQ and true and false questions, but your test isn't only made up of that anymore. So I think that's why coming back and repeating Mike, it was better, because now I knew it's okay. Don't approach it as if you're writing something that's online.
You basically came out wiser and smarter.
Definitely. Definitely.
just what, for the benefit of the listeners, right, and the viewers, can you just explain what are MCQs? Because someone might be listening like, oh, what is she saying?
MCQ, it's multiple choice questions.
Throwing those acronyms there that confuses you. You mentioned the time when you had challenges studying, and I know some of us have, or many students that I have conversation with, they go into a course, they get there, and they get hit by sort of like a rude awakening. It's like, snap, this is not what I anticipated. This is not what I was promised.
Yes.
You kind of had, when you went through it for some time,
Mm.
how did you deal with that when you had a challenge? Maybe you felt like maybe you want to give up, but how did you pull yourself? How did you deal with the stress of the course itself?
Um, with that one, I think it has more to do with who I am as a person. I genuinely am not someone that gives up, you know. And as much as there may be moments where I feel like I want to give up,
Yeah.
but even when I say, no, I'm done, like I'm not doing this anymore, the guilt will come and eat me up. Like, okay, but you have to finish what you started.
Yeah.
So I think it was just that. And sometimes another thing that I would do is just being on a call with family, or I think sometimes, no matter, like, sometimes I'd have moments where I'm trying to hide that I'm struggling with
Yeah.
this, and sometimes my parents would either like just come pop by, see me, especially around test and exam times, because I'll tell them continuously throughout the year if I'm struggling with a certain module, or if my marks aren't what I want them to be, and all of that. And again, disclaimer, not gonna lie, getting to university and failure happens, and you're so used to being an A student, you I remember it once got to a point where I literally had to sit down and I prayed, and I was like, God, like, I'm an A student.
This is not
I'm
me.
smart. Like, this is not me. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on with my academics? Like, why am I failing? I'm still studying. I'm still, So that's how bad it got for me. I literally had to sit down and be like, okay, like, what's going on? Because I know I'm smart. When I study and I put in the work, I normally will get the results that I want to get. And then that's when it hit me, that's when it came, that you approaching this with that mindset of, it always works out for me, I can do this, I can, when you're so used to things going your way, when you're so used to doing things a certain way. Yeah, I think more than anything, when I now had to change my ways, when I had to come back and change my approach, I think that's what helped me the most. Just having to sit down and look at, okay, the first time when I was doing this, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
Where did I miss it? Where do I need to improve on? What should I do better? I think, yeah, more than anything, it's just that. And above all else, again, I think even reminding yourself why you're here, why you started doing this, it goes a long way. It will go a long way. Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's genuinely the one thing that helped me the most, to get back up. And I think even especially for me, it was a little bit different, because it's like I knew that if I get to make it and I graduate, I'm literally going to be the first person in my family that graduates,
Wow.
So other people can look at it and you're like, oh, this is a nice thing, and whatnot. But when you've had family and it's like they knock on university's door, but they don't finish, or they don't make, all of that, it's like you get to, and especially because I was also the first one in my family to go and study in another province. So that pressure of, even if they don't say it, but you just know that everyone is looking at you. Everyone is just looking to see how is this one going to do, and all of that. So yeah, I think I just kept going. I kept going. I kept going. Yeah.
So you kept going, and earlier on you mentioned that you graduated and you are doing another course through UCT. It just shows the kind of spirit, the kind of person you are. Kept
Yes.
going, kept going. Whatever challenges you faced, you kept on going
Yes. Yeah.
and making it.
One thing that I live by, that I always say, or that I like to say, is that the same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. So it's about what you're made of, not your
Bars.
circumstances, So that's the one thing that always
Yeah. Always.
keep going, And I think even with me, I've come to understand and realize that in this life, whatever you say that you want to do, whatever you say that you want to achieve, whatever goals you set out for yourself, it all boils down to your character. Do you
Yeah.
have what it takes for you to make that a reality? So that's where even now my keep going spirit comes in, because like you need to have resilience in this life. You need to have a character that can withstand the storms. So that's also something that I'm currently in the process of working out in
Yeah.
me, because I'm so used to things just going
Going
my
your way.
way, and now I've just been in a period where things aren't exactly going my way. And it's so easy to just be like, I'm not doing this anymore, and having to come back and
Yeah.
remind yourself, keep going. It's gonna get better. Have faith. Remember the things that God has promised you. All of that. So yeah.
Just being stretched up until you reach your goal. Earlier on, you mentioned that you only had the chance to be on campus the first year, and then COVID came in and affected you. But you also mentioned that the friends that you still have right now are the friends that you made in 2019.
Yes.
Over the years, what have you learned about networking and building relationship? Do you have any tips about that?
Build relationships. Network. You never know when like, for example, with me, some of the friends that I have now, they've helped me in matters or things that had absolutely nothing to do with school. I remember my family, there was like an issue that my parents were facing, and I had someone to call and pick up, because it's like, your aunt is this and this and this, can they advise on ABC? Oh yes, sure they can. So that's even where networking comes in. It goes far beyond just school, far
100%.
beyond you being on campus. You never know who someone is going to be tomorrow. You never know who you're going to need. Network, get to know people, and it will go a long way.
Yeah.
It will go a long way. Yeah.
Though you were doing it online, did you ever have or get an opportunity to learn to network with your lecturers? Did you ever get that privilege?
When we were still at home back
Yeah.
in 2020 and all of that,
Yeah.
our lecturers were there for us. They were very helpful. They would respond, all of that. And then when we were here on campus, some of them, we would be privileged enough to be able to set up meetings, and they'd come on campus maybe to explain a thing or two for us, and all of that. And another thing also that our lecturers did do was they gave us a lot of like assignments that we had to do in groups, and they'd organize groups for us. And now you had to go out, reach out to people, contact them, and all of that. So we did get a chance, but it wasn't the same as if we were on campus physically. It
I
wasn't
understand.
exactly the same. Yeah, because sometimes it's like, I can't come to campus just for one person.
True.
You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So if it was a matter of a lot of students are struggling with something, then they would make time to come. But it was literally like that.
Looking back at it, right? You were studying sort of online. You earlier on mentioned that you had the privilege of having time to your hands, which can also become destructive
Yes.
in its own way. How were you managing, or how did you manage balance, rather, should I say, academic life and your social life?
In my social life. Okay. With me, things were a little bit different because throughout my academic years, university, I also had a side hustle that I was running because I do nails on campus.
Business, business. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, so I also did nails on campus. So again, because I had a lot of time, it allowed me to make money because I wasn't controlled. You have to be at a lecture by 10. You have another one at 12. No. So my days literally from 9 until around 4, it's just me and my clients.
Yeah.
From 4 until roughly around 6, 7, me and Jim. Then after that, it was me and my friends. My friends and I, we stayed up until around 3, 4 a.m.s. Like that was, it's literally, it's like we came alive in the night. We stayed, whether we're sitting and we're watching something, whatever the case may be, but we literally stayed until around 3, 4. Then that's when we go our separate ways, come back again, same thing. You repeat the day. So my days, because of online, they're basically the same.
The same, yeah.
Roughly the same. Except on those
Monotonous.
days where it's like, okay, we're going out. And again, that's also another thing with having so much time on your hands. It's so easy to just randomly make plans. You know?
Yeah.
You're like, are we going to cook today? Nah, we shouldn't cook. Let's go. You know? So, yeah, it was nice. I don't want to lie. Like, it was nice. Looking back, I do wish that I could have used my time in a much better way, in a much more wiser way.
Yes.
But again, I have no regrets. I enjoyed myself. I don't want to lie, like I enjoyed myself.
You mentioned living off campus, which was a bit challenging because the traveling, it's Cape Town. How are you traveling to campus?
So I actually wasn't that far from campus. I think it would take me about 20, 30 minutes for me. Okay, I was
It's a bit
from
far.
campus. I was a bit far from campus. So it took me roughly around 20, 30 minutes for me to get to campus. That was that. But I won't say that was a challenge, really. Yes, there would be times and moments where, especially if we had practicals, where you get scared because it's like, okay, now it's late. There's crime in the area. I remember this one time, a girl came and she was also walking and she was carrying a bottle, like a glass bottle, you know. And she's like, hey, but you don't have protection. What if someone pops out of the bushes? And I'm like, okay, what are you going to do with the bottle? And she's like, as long as you have a weapon in your hands, they're not going to come near you. You just crack it on the floor. And I'm like, so there's literally a moment in time where even with me, whenever I'm walking to campus, I literally had like a place where I'd stash my bottle because I'm like, you never know what's going to happen. But again, even with that, I was lucky and fortunate enough to have friends that would accompany me and leave me at a certain point, and then they'd go their own way and I'd go mine. And then I'd carry on walking. So I think more than anything, it was just the safety. I would worry about the safety. Other than that, I didn't have much struggle, much issues. It was a bit of a challenge having to come and stay in a household because I stayed it was a house like with other students. And yeah, they were speaking Afrikaans. They had a completely different culture. And having to come and adjust to that, I think honestly the one thing that kept me sane was the fact that when I got here, even with me going to stay at that house, it was actually a student that I went to high school with. And she had a cousin that had just graduated at UWC that time. So they knew of a few student accommodation places, 100%. And I wasn't getting res. So that's what made my experience staying in that house better, because now it's like at least I'm staying with someone that was my friend in high school. You know, we weren't like friends, but we did chill together at times.
Basically, like feeling like, okay, I have someone from home.
Yes.
Sort of vibe.
And at least I got to speak Zulu, yo. Having to speak English all the time, it's like, So that was also another nice thing.
We know that you are affected by COVID, but uh, many universities have facilities, studying facilities, things that helps student to make it. So, did you ever use any of the facilities on campus, like libraries? If you did, where and which was your favorite spot?
Okay, when everything was still online, I would study at the library. If I'm not by the library, I'd be by the student center because our library, they had times that they would close and sometimes you're on a cross night. So that's when I'd study by the student center. The rest that I stay at Kovacs, they do have a study area, but it tends to get very noisy, very rowdy. So that's literally my least favorite spot to study on campus. In actual fact, I don't even go there to study because I'm like, nah. I tried it out for I think about 2-3 times, and I was like, nope, it keeps getting worse each time. Not doing this,
Yeah.
But my favorite place to study, I have to say, it was the student center. Number one, because it gets cold, so falling asleep
Sleep.
or getting sleepy. There's none of that. There's none of that. And I think even leaving Kovacs and walking to the student center, for me, it was very refreshing. Even when I'm done studying, it was a walk that I
100%.
found very refreshing. So I think that's also another thing that made me like or enjoy going to
So,
study there. And it, especially at night, it would get very quiet. There wasn't much noise. Everyone that was there was basically there to study. The only time that it would get noise, it was last year, because we have this place called the Barn at school. So sometimes, if I'm there and I'm studying on a Saturday or a Friday night, normally around 2, 3, it would get very noisy because now people are coming, they're drunk, others are withdrawing money to
yeah.
request go home because
Yeah.
we also had ATMs there. So yeah, then when I noticed that pattern that now that the barn is open here at UWs, this place normally gets noisy around these times. So I'd schedule that, okay, I have to at least be gone by 1, or let me just rather study during the day for my Friday and my Saturday. So I would work around it. But yeah, I have to say I enjoyed studying at the student center. But other than that, if I wasn't studying on campus, then I'd be off campus. But off campus, I normally did my assignments. Sometimes you need the aesthetics. You need your little Starbucks cup right next to your laptop or something. Just a change of
Yeah.
scenery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, just before we go any further, earlier on you mentioned that you're studying another course because I know you graduated. You graduated this year. You're studying another course with UCT. Can you
Yes.
just share a bit some light into that course? What is it
Okay.
about, and how does it merge with what you're doing?
Okay. So with the course that I did at UCT,
Yeah.
it's an online short course that they offer in collaboration with Get Smarter, right? And it was literally just for, I think it was 6 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Six
Yeah.
or 9 weeks, one of the two, six or
Yeah.
9 weeks, one of the two. And with that course, business development management.
Management.
It had to do with the developing of a business or an organization. So you basically get to learn the fundamentals, the
Business.
principles, basically the the basics
Yeah.
about business, how to grow it, how to start one, how to get partnerships. It literally had, yeah, everything. So every week there'd be a module that focuses on specific things for specific principles. Then the following week again, and then you'd get weekly assignments also to check whether or not you understand
Did
the
it.
work.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't want to lie, I really enjoyed doing
Yes.
that course because it's online. So you get people from
Yeah.
UK, they also there. And because there's also like in the online portal that they have, the online school, because they call it an online school.
Yeah.
So there's literally even a section where you could get there, get to network with people,
Yes.
especially in the first week, because you introduce yourself and you say what you're about. And even when you're reading the comments, you can literally see people networking, planning to meet, discussing
Yeah.
business, asking about the company that this one works in, and all of that. And it literally made me, I need to come back and do another course. More than anything, specifically because of
Yeah.
that, because I'm like the networking that happens
Yeah.
on that platform. And also once you enroll for that course, there's also other benefits
First.
that come to it. Like you get access to career to you, where tips on interviews, like basically about the corporate world, how things work in the corporate. You get access into that information, how to prepare yourself, how your CV should look, other people that are in your industry that are going to be giving you tips on how to break
Yes.
into the industry as a first time person,
It's
and
a
all of
beginner
that.
as well, some of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I enjoyed that course. I don't want to lie.
It's just a pity that I'm seeing that our time is coming to an end, but um, you study your course, majority of your course online, and you
Yes.
even did another course online, and you're
Yes.
excelling into it. You're excelling in both of them. It means that there's a certain routine you had created some way.
Yes. Yes.
Could you kind share the routine that has helped you succeed during these online courses? Because I know people, some, you know how dangerous it is knowing that you've got all the time to and
Time,
nobody's
yes,
following up on
yes.
you.
So I had one system. Monday to Friday, we are working. Work. Saturday, Sunday, we can
Play.
chill. Yeah, we can chill. And I honestly think that's, you just need to have a balance. You need to prioritize. You need to know, okay, what's most important? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? And then, okay, there's
Yeah.
time to play afterwards. Once you've taken care of the things that you need to take care of for that week, especially because once you get to university, every single week your lecturers will literally tell you that these are the things that are expected of you this week. This is what you need to study. These are the tasks that you need to complete. So I would follow that, and then anything else outside of that time, then I'd be flexible. Okay, what are we doing? Where are we
Yeah.
going? As long as I made sure that what I have to take care of has been taken care of for that day. What happens with the rest of my time? I wasn't intentional. Now obviously I am a bit more intentional about it, but at that
Yeah.
time I wasn't intentional. Oh, you want us to chill and watch Netflix the whole night? Cool, let's go, let's do it. So yeah, that's what we do with my friends most of the time.
Yeah.
Or we cooking, but that was literally my rule. Monday to Friday, push. Weekend you can
Push.
play.
Oh, okay, you play.
Yes.
Pretty much then at that time you begin to know
Yeah.
your why.
Yes, yeah, because even with the nail business that I was running, I'd only take clients Monday to Friday, sometimes Saturday. Now, Saturdays would normally depend on whether or not I needed the money. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
But that was me. That Monday to Friday, I'm just pushing. I'm just taking care of business. Then my Saturdays and Sundays, whatever happens, happens. My Friday, I would also allow myself to be flexible, but
Yes.
I still would normally take care of business on a Friday. Yeah,
So
I think these days they call it standing on business.
it's awesome. Now looking at your studies or your course, how do you think or what have you seen? Okay, let me structure it this way. Do you see in any way that your course has prepared you for the future? Or how so?
Look, Nem, I'd say that my course prepared me for the future, not in a sense of the contents that I learned from the course in itself, but rather the things that I went through for me to see myself graduating. I think, like I explained earlier, that point where everything just gets so hard and you feel like giving up. So it taught me resilience. So basically, the motions that I would go through, I'd
100%.
say that's what prepped me to go into the
Yeah.
workforce and all of that. And just again, even with my marks not going the way that I wanted them to go, and having to come to that understanding that with the space that you're going into now, it's going to be like that. You're not always, things aren't always going to go your way. You're not always going to produce the results that you want to produce. How do you deal with that? How do you come back from that? How do you do better going forth? How do you then make sure that you get the results that you want to, So I think more than anything, this course, the motions, everything that I basically experienced from my course throughout the years, more than anything, I'd say that it really did work on my character. Yeah,
Awesome.
more than anything, genuinely speaking, like
Awesome.
I will say that it really worked on my character. It really showed me things that I have to work
Go
on
on.
in my character also,
100%.
and also my strong points, So yeah, I
As
I
I
was
say, as they say, gold. In order for it to be gold has to go. As in order for you to get gold, it has to pass through fire, isn't it?
yes, that's true.
Now, looking at the fire that you have gone through and the gold that you have become, right? What are your future goals? Can
My
you share
future
some of them?
goals.
Just in the 5 minutes that we have, what are your future
Yes.
goals? Just share with us.
Okay, with my goals
Yeah.
now, okay, my number one thing that I want to see myself do or be able to achieve, this is something that's outside of my degree. But like I said, I come from Umlazi,
Yeah.
and staying in that area, seeing the way or the life that people live, how they see
Yeah.
things, and having being someone that also stays in Lazi, but knowing for a fact that Monday to Saturday I was getting to experience a different side of life,
Yeah.
because Monday to Saturday I'd be at school, like back in the time when I was still in high
Yeah.
school, and my school was in my suburb scene, so spending most of your time in such a place
Yeah.
and then having to come back Imlazi, and I'm a very observant person, and you see the differences between kids in Lukshini and kids in the suburbs, how they
Unstoppable.
think, how they approach life,
100%.
and all of that. So I think for me, more than anything, the one thing that I'd say I want to achieve in this life is I want to have a foundation, right? That I sponsor kids for the academics, but I don't want it to just be a bursary. I want it to be more of a mentorship program that will focus on who you become as a person, right? Because I honestly think that your character plays such a big role in how successful you become in this life, and not only just how successful, but even with your success, how you
Yeah.
obtain your success. Your character has a lot to do with that, and I want to have that kind of foundation where you take kids from underprivileged areas and you bring them to university, but I don't just neglect you and say, as long as you give me my 60%, I'll still fund you. No, I want to be there, like have a foundation that's going to be not just sponsoring you, but be there every step of the way, making sure that you're good, you're who you're becoming as a person, and all of that. I think that's genuinely the one thing that I'd say I want to see myself achieve in this life. I think that's even where me having a passion of owning schools also comes in. I don't want to just own a school that's known for being the best rugby team, the best musical
Yeah.
team. No, I want people must know when kids go to that school, they turn into leaders.
Leaders.
They turn into, you get what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah. So I think for me, that's, yeah, the one thing that I'd
Awesome,
say.
awesome, 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 awesome. Just to reflect back on what you say, that you don't just want to, you want to empower others, if I can just summarize it.
Yes.
One day you want to be a beacon of hope for people around you. So, with that being said, the last question I would like to ask, what advice have you got for someone who hopes to study or to elevate themselves like you are? Or what advice have you got for the younger Amanda, maybe tracking back to 5 years ago? What advice have you got for those people?
I'd say sit down with yourself,
Yeah.
figure out what you want in this life, and from there, check whether or not your daily habits are leading you to the life that you say you want to live. You know, and if they are leading you to a different, like, you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
If they're leading you to a completely different life, or they are leading you nowhere near the life that you say you want to live, then come back and fix those daily habits. Work on your character. More than anything, to achieve success,
Yeah.
you're going to need to have a good character. So work on your character, go after knowledge, get mentorships, you know, that would be my number one advice. Know what you want, know what it requires of you for you to get there, and then work on that. Go for it. Work on yourself.
Know what you want, know what it requires for you to get there, go for it, and work on yourself. And that's your final words, the words of wisdom. So thank you so much, Amanda. You have been a blessing. And thank you for honoring this invite to be on our podcast. And you have been nothing but a blessing. And I just couldn't wait to get to, just like I always tell my the guest, that I want to take water from that wall of wisdom, and you just poured out freely liquid gold knowledge, liquid gold wisdom. So thank you so much, and we wish you the best on your career, and hopefully the next time we see you, you'll be here for the professional edition. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I appreciate you taking time and tuning in and be part of our community. We get to share ideas, stories, and perspectives through this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found something valuable in it. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your family and friends. I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Until then, take care. This is the Podcast signing out. See you next time.